The two scariest words in the bariatric world, dumping syndrome. If you've ever experienced it or are wanting to know a little bit more about it, you are in the right place. I thought we could do something a little different today. We're in the kitchen, so if you hear echoes, my apologies. There are higher ceilings in here. But I thought I could educate you on the excitement of dumping syndrome while also trying some new sweet treats from Trader Joe's from their Valentine's Day line. If this is the type of content that you are here for, please subscribe to our growing and wonderful BariTale community. I swear the comment section here is filled with the nicest and most supportive people on earth. And if you like this video and want more shorty episodes here, give this video a thumbs up because I always take what you like into consideration when I'm building out content for the future. And since this is the first week of February, the official first Sunday of February, I thought why not just dive head in to talk about sweet treats and how that might impact you post-op. So I'll start off by saying that my local Trader Joe's, if you don't have a Trader Joe's near you, it is the target of grocery stores. It's not all the way out in Whole Foods land. It's much smaller, more niche. It's a wonderful experience. And typically I do hauls from Trader Joe's around fall time and holiday season. But I was pretty disappointed by the small selection of Valentine's Day items, so I couldn't dedicate an entire video to this, so I thought I would blend these two topics together while I eat sweet treats, telling you about the dangers of them. Let's begin by defining what dumping syndrome is. This is likely a term that you've heard in your pre-op classes or in the beautiful world that is the internet. Dumping syndrome is actually a broader term to describe a set of symptoms that happens to your body after surgery, typically after too much sugar is consumed in a small period of time. If food travels too quickly from the stomach into the small intestine, that's when the set of symptoms kicks in. That's dumping syndrome. And a big question is, why does this happen? And a lot of it has to do with the fact that your stomach is simply so much smaller, regardless of the type of bariatric surgery that you have. So your normal digestive process has been altered because of weight loss surgery. So when sugary foods hit your stomach and then your small intestine too quickly at one time, this causes a surge of insulin to rise, which is a drop, a decrease in your blood sugar levels. And that, my friends, is when the joy of dumping syndrome kicks in. Toward the end of this video, I am going to share two different experiences that I have had. Since you loved the armpit drama so much, if you haven't watched that video, I will link it here. I will be sharing some personal stories with you, but I'll warn you beforehand because they do involve the symptoms of dumping syndrome, which are pretty gross. Let's get into some sweet treats, right? Let's break this up a little bit. So, let's talk about our first sweet treat before we get into, is dumping syndrome universal? I'm not sure why these are entirely in the Valentine's Day collection at Trader Joe's, and yeah, I have opened them. The evidence is here. But also, this is the real size of these. I feel like they need like a pink or a white, a red sprinkle on them. Oh man. I opted for the dark chocolate. I wish I had checked, but I didn't. So if you know, please let me know in the comments. Would the regular chocolate, the milk, have more sugar in them? For 5 of these pretzels, so these are relatively sizable, especially with the BariTale tummy. That should be a trademark. There are 9 grams of sugar, which is not tragic. I feel like you could easily have 3 to 5 of these after your maintenance phase and feel satiated without feeling uncomfortable. Oh, the smell of dark chocolate, there is something about that. I would pick savory over sweet almost every day of the week, but the way that this smells, I don't know, it's like a childhood sniff, right? I love how crunchy the pretzel still is on the inside. The mix of sweet and salty is perfect. Are these around all year? I do not know. You tell me. I think one of the hardest parts about eating chocolate after surgery is that it personally makes me really thirsty, and I can't just chug water after I eat chocolate. Little pieces in my lip gloss. The good news about dumping syndrome is that it is not a universal experience. My sister has had weight loss surgery. She has never had dumping syndrome. I've worked with clients. They've never had dumping syndrome, some of them. And then there are people who are particularly sensitive to it. I am one of them. Also, dumping syndrome supposedly is supposed to become less frequent the farther out from surgery you are. So dumping syndrome is one of those things that right after surgery for the first few months, you have to be more careful about rather than 5 years down the road. However, again, as someone who is sensitive to dumping syndrome, I still experience symptoms from time to time, but they're absolutely self-inflicted and preventable. And while I've had VSG, it's almost my 5-year surgiversary, which is coming up this summer, dumping syndrome is actually more prone to people who have had gastric bypass because of the rerouting of their digestive system. So with VSG, it's simply a tummy cut and you're out. Gastric bypass is a little bit more intense, so dumping syndrome happens more frequently with RNY patients. These are cute. These are the dark chocolate caramel hearts. Serving size 6 pieces. 14 shugs for 6 pieces. I shan't be having 6. Let's see what these little guys look like. Oh, aren't they cute? Little baby hearts. I wanted these to be soft. They're very like crumbly, like the caramel just fell out. One moment, please. These are not the highest quality. I'm gonna go on record and say, pass. Maybe if they were going in like little gift bags or goodie bags for kiddo friends, that would be cute, but no thank you. And they're not expired, so no, I'll stick with the chocolate pretzels. So I have clients ask me, is it better to experience dumping syndrome or to never have it? And I think this is a very personal question because what they're really asking is, if I know my body will physically reject too much sugar or really, really high carb foods, which tend to be too much sugar, it's unlikely that I will binge eat those things or I will eat too much of those things because it's uncomfortable. But is it better to never experience dumping syndrome because it is uncomfortable and slightly painful? That is only a decision you can make. The good news here is that there are ways to minimize or prevent dumping syndrome altogether. One of those ways is simply by monitoring your sugar intake. Story number 1. So if this is a trigger for you and you think this is going to be too gross for you to listen to, fast forward a minute or so. We'll try these next, so when you see them on screen, you know it's safe to watch. When I was freshly 2 weeks out of surgery, my husband and I were doing errands with our daughter and we pulled into like a local convenience store and he was going in to get an iced tea. And typically in the past, I would have asked for a Diet Coke, but I absolutely could not have had that. I was on a liquid diet. So he came out with a lemonade. And the ingredients in the lemonade were simply water, lemons, and sugar. So I read the bottle, it was in a glass container, organic, etc. I drank probably half the glass, and it was likely 16 ounces, which this is too big for 16 ounces, but you get the point. Within maybe 15 minutes, I could feel my stomach tightening. Like it was being twisted in a vice almost. So I told him, we were out and about, we have to go home. We have to go home right now. I need a bathroom quickly. I started to get that feeling of watery, sweaty mouth. Disgusting description, I know, but if you understand what I'm talking about, will you please let me know? Like that juicy, I'm about to throw up situation. And we were 4 minutes from home. By the time he pulled in the driveway, I was running into the house, where I proceeded to have fairly violent diarrhea. I didn't throw up, but I had to spit into the sink after I was done on the toilet to try to like get all of that yucky in my mouth out. So obviously I was like, why did this happen? I only drank half the container. It wasn't that much sugar. It's because the nutrition ingredients for that lemonade were I drank a full serving. I didn't look at the serving size. It was 2 servings in that glass jar. So I drank all of the sugar, which was well over 30 grams in the lemonade. And yes, that led me to almost having liquid poopy in my pants. Actually, I was in a dress in my car. So that one was probably the most urgent because it was also the first time that had really happened. And I get it was only 2 weeks out. I thought I was being careful. It was like my first rookie mistake, if that makes any sense to you. So the point here is please read the nutrition facts and look at your serving size, because you will need a bathroom. And your body, it's not like you can hold it in. This is not that situation. It's called dumping syndrome for a reason. Your body needs to dump what's in it to level out your blood sugar. So afterwards, you're going to feel probably exhausted, dehydrated, and maybe a little bit hungry. You're not sick. It's not contagious. And the feeling does go away as quickly as it comes, but it requires in the interim that you dump everything out. Now that we've talked about bathroom time, let's look at these little Belgian chocolates. 3 pieces, 15 sugars. Oftentimes, I feel like it's tricky because when it comes to serving size, you might assume that this is a serving. There are only 7 little chocolate hearts in here. These are very pretty. I don't know what the difference is between the white and this chocolate. There's no description. It says they're all the same. Smell the same. I'm gonna go with this guy. Okay. See on the inside. I think they taste the same. They're the same on the inside. Love. Just gonna put those back. Those are good, they're very rich. I still prefer the pretzels. But this would also be like a little nice wrapped gift. If you have a Galentine's for a Valentine's Day basket, teachers, like this is a nice little gift. Another hot tip for avoiding dumping syndrome is in the size meal that you're eating. So you have to look at the sugar intake of everything, and usually foods that are very starchy or high in carbs also have a high sugar content. So you have to build that in. And for those of you who have loved formerly drinking mixed drinks with like juice or grenadine, like tropically drinks, I regret to inform you that this may be a thing of the past. It's why I use my Uba glassware to measure out wine, because wine usually has a high sugar content. Hang on, I'll show you. I don't think I've shown these to you on camera yet. I talked about them as a tool, but I hope you can see that there's like ounces on the glass. These are glass also, but this helps me pour out my wine so that way I know exactly how much sugar I'm drinking, because while I've never actually had dumping syndrome from wine, I think it's probably because I'm aware of what I'm drinking. My favorite things are champagne and rosé and prosecco, which are high in sugar. So I do have to be careful about my limitations, not only for my own alcohol intake, but also in terms of my digestion. Like, I'm not going to eat and drink at the same time, but if what I've previously eaten was sugary, I'm not going to pair these two together. That, my friends, is a recipe for bathroom disaster. I will leave my Uba link in the description box below. The glasses themselves are relatively new. I no longer need to like measure out or guesstimate, but I think these are super pretty. They can go in the dishwasher. I've also been drinking my bone broth out of them in the morning because I know I'm gonna drink 8 ounces, so helpful for lots of things. So smaller meal sizes and not combining sugary beverages after you've had a sugary snack or a sugary meal, but also staying hydrated. Water is your best friend on this journey, and it can help flush things through faster, which is why when I'm doing something like drinking wine, I'm also interspersing that with drinking water so I can help move that sugar along. The last treat from our Trader Joe's line, I haven't opened these ones yet. They are the mini heart cookies. Again, they're dark chocolate and they're shortbread cookies, which, oh man, how I love a cookie. So like, these are pretty. This is kind of what I wanted the pretzels to do. These are pretty, right? 4 of these are 11 grams of sugar. So I'm not gonna eat 4 because I've eaten a bunch of other sugary snacks. It's a chocolate shortbread cookie. I think I like chocolate when it has a crunch to it. So much of dumping syndrome is about listening to your body, eating slowly and mindfully. And I think I experienced this early on because I didn't learn to listen to my body. And I know I've been talking about this in multiple videos, but I think it's a really important and valid point that I never listened to my body until I was probably 14 to 15 months, like post-op. And at that point, I started to realize that if I wasn't listening, I was going to experience emotions related to food that I had hoped left right after surgery when I didn't have my hunger hormone back yet. And once my ghrelin returned, I realized like, okay, I'm not just over binging. I'm not just over the idea of emotional comfort food. I have to work toward that. So I started trying to follow and research, deep dive into mindful eating and intuitive eating. And I've definitely, over the past 4 years, have been way more successful with this than I ever thought I could be. So if you're looking for a guide, I turned what I used in my notes app on my phone into a pretty PDF as kind of a cheat sheet guideline for you if you're like, how do I get started with mindful eating? Whether you're in the pre-op phase, you're post-op, and you're frustrated but determined to succeed, or you're not having surgery at all and you just want a more holistic, healthier, I don't mean healthier in terms of like fruits and vegetables, I mean like emotionally healthier relationship with food, I think this could work for you too. So I will leave that in the description box. It's totally free. It is just kind of my way of sharing what I'm learning about this process with you. I have one more dumping syndrome story for you, and this one's a real doozy of embarrassment. If you've ever experienced dumping syndrome, it can range from feeling like you're about to throw up, actually throwing up, or having fairly vicious and aggressive bowel movements for a long period of time, like 15 to 20 minutes, possibly even longer. Not this past summer, but the summer prior, Mark, Callie, and I, we took out the boat. I live on Cape Cod, so this is a normal cultural thing for us to do here. And we spent the day out on this little island with family and friends and all the kids, my sister, some of my friends. And there is an ice cream boat that comes by in the afternoon. Now, in the early afternoon, we cracked open a bottle of rosé while the kids had lunch. My sister has also undergone surgery, so we're, sharing rosé pretty slowly, but we're in the sun, we're drinking our water, we're swimming around and floating. It was such a beautiful summer day. And then the ice cream boat arrives, and I think, oh, Chels, go for it. Who wouldn't want ice cream from the ice cream boat? So I get myself a chipwich. Do you see where this is headed? I eat my chipwich, which. At this point, I am coaching actively as a bariatric coach. I have clients. I know what I should be doing. I eat my chipwich, the whole thing. First of all, if you were here for last week's video, you know that ice cream and I never get along. Let's combine ice cream with 2 chocolate chip cookies and a glass or 2 of rosé. To top this off, I am in a white bikini. Behind us on the beach, which is a very short shoreline, is a camp, it's woods. And then there's camping in the middle. I don't really know how to describe it. But it's not like public access. There's no buildings. We're all in nature. The moment I start to feel my tummy rumble, and that is my first symptom. My tummy starts to get tight, and then it rumbles, and then it gurgles. And my sister heard my stomach and was like, oh no. I took an inner tube and I swam as far out into the ocean as I could go, keeping in mind that there are boats moored and docked all around us. I am trying to get away from the public. I swim out for what seems like forever, was probably 10 to 15 minutes, while my stomach is turning and churning. And I get out to where there are no people, I'm out of any of the boat lanes, and I just plop my arms up on the inner tube, I take one, I reach around, I literally can't believe I'm sharing this out loud right now, and I pull my bathing suit bottom aside, so that way, if necessary, I can have diarrhea in the ocean. Wasn't my finest moment. If you've had dumping syndrome, can you tell me in the comments, please? It will make me feel better about saying those words out loud to an audience. So if that didn't earn your subscribe, I don't know what will. Don't do that. Don't do that. I would not recommend using the ocean as your personal toilet receptacle, but sometimes in emergencies it must be done. Now, had I been mindfully eating in that moment, this would never have happened. So download the free guide and don't poop in the ocean. That's our chat today, friends. You know I love you because I shared that with you, but you know I love you. If you have a local Trader Joe's, these are the 2 I would go for. And if your Trader Joe's has more than mine, please let me know. I can do a second run. I just couldn't find anything else. And we are still eating some of our Christmas treats that are in the freezer. So I don't really need any more sweets in the house at the moment. Thank you so much for being here. I hope this was entertaining but also educational for you. And until next week, my loves, happy February. I will see you soon. Bye.